Okay, we can bring the meeting to order.
Right, then she'll slide off.
If everybody could take their seat. Bring the February meeting of the Long Island Committee to order. Are there any public speakers? I don't have the form. Hold on. We'll give everybody an opportunity. As soon as they bring me the form, we will take care of it. Not a problem. Thank you, Mr. Getz. That's okay. Thank you. Okay, George, you're first.
Thank you. Over here. If we could pass this around, it would be appreciated. Thank you. Hello, my name is George Highcollis. I'm the president of the Institute for Rational Urban Mobility. And I'd like to speak on a subject that I think Mitch could probably do a better job of repeating what I just said last month than I could. But also, this was, Mitch, this was something that we spoke to you about August 31, 2006. So this is not a new issue. We've been talking about this for a long time. The only thing that's new is that each year the project goes up $1 billion here or two in cost, and another year or two in scheduled completion. I think this is not really appropriate. IRM continues to request that MTA redirect its Long Island Railroad East Side Access Project to the upper level loop alternative developed by the Delcan Corporation, Canada's largest engineering firm, and drop its current deep cavern plan. Since 1996, transit advocates have urged MTA to advance a more sensible plan that would use existing tracks and platforms in Grand Central Terminal, the world's largest railway station, and not place some 8,000 Long Island Railroad passengers at great risk in a deep cavern in the event of a terror attack. Using the upper level would save passengers 3 to 4 minutes of travel time in each direction while avoiding the cost of operating and maintaining 47 escalators. Furthermore, it makes little sense for the Long Island Railroad to construct a costly new rail yard for midday storage of rail cars in Sunnyside, Queens, with its multiple approach tunnels. Given the modest cost of deadheading cars to existing rail yards further east, it is hard to see why federal transit agencies would not welcome a shift away from this inviting terrorist target. It's time for MTA to call a halt to this failed plan and to move forward on a less costly and more passenger-friendly alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, George. We always appreciate your input. Orrin Getz?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. My name is Orrin Getz. First thing is I, at request of President Williams, I did send you a copy of the Drew Galloway report. I see you got it. That's good. I'd like to follow up and see if we really can get Drew into one of the future meetings, possibly even the April joint meeting. There are a lot of issues that I think you should know about and hear directly from him concerning the Gateway project and other things in the tunnels. And the reason I bring it up is because PATH, Port Authority Trans-Hudson, has been shutting down its service to the World Trade Center on weekends now. The two reasons they give for this is one is to put in the new PTC, which I know the Long Island Railroad also has to put in too. But the other reason they're saying is they've got to wash the tunnels down and clean them of the residue from the brackish water that entered during Hurricane Sandy. Now those tunnels have been completely refurbished in 2002 after the 2001 incident at the World Trade Center. So this is an ongoing problem that I think the Long Island Railroad has to be aware of what is really going on in the East River tunnels and the Hudson River tunnels, because it can affect your service. That's why I think it's even more poignant to get some reports from Amtrak on this particular thing. The other thing is that New Jersey Transit will be starting to implement service on the Raritan Valley line into Penn Station, New York, off-peak. Now that's using their new ALP 45DP locomotive, so more of them will be starting to go into Penn Station. Also, they're starting to use them on the Northeast Corridor trains too. And I'm thinking this is this wonderful opportunity in the future for the Long Island Railroad to work with New Jersey Transit to see what we can do about running through service right out to Long Island and back from New Jersey. The automobiles can do it, and it would be great if the two railroads could work together and come up with some sort of a plan, especially, as I said, since New Jersey Transit will be bringing more of these locomotives in on this new off-peak service on the Raritan Valley line. So please look into this. Thank you.
My understanding is the railroad is looking at that issue at the moment, and we'll get a report back for you.
MTA as a whole.
Thank you. And MTA, okay. Thank you. All right.
We got back yesterday morning from a 10-day fact-finding trip in the Middle East, 40 meetings. While we were there, I read the New York Times and the various other things on my cell phone. Has a camera in it. De Blasio, our new mayor, was photographed going through a stop sign. I read a lot about the Ukraine, Kiev, and what goes on there are thousands of cell phones taking pictures. What does it mean? Transparency. It means you can't hide anymore, people. It means that the things that some people have been getting away with for years and years and years is going to be recorded somewhere. And the suggestion is, be open. Deal with the facts on the ground, and don't try and hide anything. Happened to the George Washington Bridge. Port authorities being turned upside down. There are changes needed to be made around here quietly. Jim suggested that the reports be shorter. Some of them were. Thank you, Mike. Some of them weren't. Don't you understand that what you write is in the book and that these people need a summary of the relevant things? You don't have to read things that are already been printed. Oh, they gave us a PowerPoint presentation this morning, which we couldn't read. So why do a PowerPoint presentation that can't be read? I now confronted the people who were organizing our trip. I wanted the itinerary, not on a PDF. I wanted it as a plain, straight, generic email, which it took 3 days and I finally got. The only thing they've got to do is date the revisions of it. The information that you're providing now needs to be in a common format. Straight text. Give up the PDFs. Give up the PowerPoints. That was then. This is now. My granddaughter walks around with this glued to her hand. If I want to send her an email, I got to send her a text. Go read your email. It's the way it is, right? You're nodding your head. No. That's reality, Freddie. We got to deal with the fact that the information for the people that are going on is...
Thank you. Have the minutes of the January 27th meeting. Are there any corrections or suggestions? If not, a motion to approve. So move second. All in favor? Okay. Any changes to the work plan?
No.
No changes to the work plan. We'll go to the President's report. Helena.
Yes, good morning to the committee members. I'm very pleased this morning to announce, and the MTA press office has put out a press statement about it, but we are moving forward at the MTA with a new position of Chief Safety Officer, and it will be a new senior management post reporting directly to the chairman, and we want to ensure that we are using best practices across all agencies as we move forward on our safety programs and our system safety elements. I'm very pleased to say that the MTA is also suggested that the top safety official at each agency report directly to the agency head. And as you see in our agenda today, we have an overview of our safety program. But I am going to take a moment just to say that we have made that change. And Lori Ebenhausen, who is my chief safety person, does report now directly to me. And I will have more of an introduction of Lori when we go forward. I'm going to keep my comments short this month because we do want to spend time on our safety program. I will mention the January ridership. While overall ridership did decline, and I think it was attributable to some of the very bad weekend weather, we did see an increase in commutation ridership, which is very important to us, and that was a 2.2% increase, and we're pleased to note that. I also want to mention that we do have the Montauk St. Patrick's Day Parade coming up, and we have the regular St. Patrick's Day Parade that is coming up as well. We will work closely with MTA Police as we provide additional train service. As you know, Long Island Railroad does a alcohol ban. We have found that to be very successful to allow families and people to continue to enjoy these events without them becoming a underage drinking event. We also want to just highlight that we do have new train service, and you'll see that in our track schedule. But this was service that was restored pursuant to the budget, and we're very pleased to note that we have additional Babylon service in the PM. So with that, I'm going to close out my quick remarks.
Okay. Michael, MTA Capital Construction.
Okay, just happy to report that actually we completed the excavation on 55th Street then plant. That means we stopped blasting, and we're moving now into the concreting operation. Also, I would like to report on the work that is done right now in the caverns, and contract, the concreting and finishes on the southern contract, the 005, and we have a kind of an update. I refer to it as the yellow caverns. This is a look at the eastern tunnel. You can start seeing that all of the waterproofing is in effect coming into place. Why is that so squished, Bogdan? The projector, okay? Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to get you a sense that these huge caverns are really moving forward. We are having the waterproofing almost completed and all directions, and then this is in preparation for the new work that will come when we are finishing the cavern. So we took a lot of pictures just to get you a sense as to where we are. We are putting the sump pit waterproofing and everything else. So the work is actually in the cavern proceeding rather well. This is actually a look at the tail tracks looking south towards 37th Street. So I just wanted to give you a view of what we're doing on the in the caverns right now. The in Queens, in the Herald, the continuation of the westbound bypass and is moving on, and we expect to have field constructions beginning in March. We are moving forward in procuring the traction power contract, and it will be the procurement will start in the first quarter and will be completed in the second quarter. And as you'll hear in a few moments, we are seeking approval from the board to go for a negotiated procurement on the finishes on the GCT concourse. We were very successful in doing that on 006 in the northern, as well as the systems, and we're looking forward for that. That will permit verification that the contractor has the capability to complete the work, and we'll do it in an expedited manner the same way we did the 006. The expression of interest for 007, this is the finishes of the cavern, was extremely good. We received a large number, over 10 expression of interest. We're meeting with the contractors in order to understand their position as to how they see the job done, and we expect to again go through an RFP that we already, I believe, you approved, and we'll have final details as to how we're going to continue on that. That's about it.
Any questions for Michael? If not, Chief?
Good morning. Our report is on page 26 for the Long Island Railroad. I just want to mention we were increased by one incident, 17 to 16. The two robberies both took place in Wyandanch, and there was an arrest on both of those. And in the 4 assaults, there was an arrest on 2 of those, and 2 of those are open. And as Helena mentioned, we are gearing up for the Montauk Parade, and as mentioned earlier, the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Manhattan. If there's any questions.
Any questions? If not, Helena, let's move to the information items.
Very good. Thank you very much. As you can see, both the chief and I talk about Montauk before we actually talk about the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade, because we're very concerned about that operation. I would now like to turn to a more complete introduction of Lori Ebbinghausen. Lori is my Senior Director of System Safety and Training. And as I stated, she will become a direct report to me. She holds a PhD in social policy and research from Stony Brook University. She's been with the Long Island Railroad for 14 years, and she started as a manager in the training department and was promoted to director of training in 2005. And she served as our senior director overseeing the Department of Corporate Safety and Training since 2011. I am very pleased to say that I have worked very closely with Lori and her team for the past 7 years. It's been a exciting opportunity for me to see our system safety throughout Long Island Railroad continue to grow and develop as a program. We're very focused at the Long Island Railroad, and let's just go to the first slide, our goal. And this is one that we've worked closely with all departments to develop, to be able to talk about, and that is to ensure that we have a comprehensive, sustainable, and measurable safety initiative. And that is our dialogue that we have on an ongoing basis with all of our departments, and it starts not only in the President's office, but at Lori's level, in the corporate safety level of the organization. And if we go to the next slide, the safety initiative is very focused on 4 points, and that is the system safety program plan, labor management partnerships, rail incident and accident investigations, and of course training. And now I'd really like to have you be able to hear from Lori, who has worked very hard to put our program together and get it to a level that we consider a very strong, sustainable element at the Long Island Railroad. Lori.
Thank you. Just want to really emphasize the fact that our program, as said a couple of slides ago, is about think safety, act safely. And our goal is to promote the value of safety at every level within the organization and engage every employee in promoting that value within the organization. When we look at our safety initiatives, it really is a collaborative effort between the operating departments, between corporate safety and training, between all the administrative departments, that there's a lot of folks that are pulling together to make our safety program work. And our safety performance, our employee availability, our productivity, our equipment reliability, and our customer satisfaction can all be attributed to the success of this initiative. So when we look at the System Safety Program Plan, the System Safety Program Plan is in compliance with the FTA requirements for such a plan, and we voluntarily have APTA come in and audit our System Safety Program Plan every 3 years to ensure that we are doing, as indeed the plan states, to promote the value of safety and ensure that all of our safety initiatives are obtaining their goals. Recently, some of the things that we've focused on have really involved collaborating with Mike Gelomino, the Senior Vice President of Operations, and the chiefs of the different operating departments with transportation, maintenance of equipment, engineering, and really it's this collaboration that makes this whole effort work. Mike, our communication and how we work together is essential for our success.
Each of the operating departments and all the departments on the railroad have a safety group, and it's critical that each group interacts well with corporate safety and training. It's a collaborative effort, as Lori mentioned, very, very important, the communication and the interaction that goes on. Many of the issues that we incur in the workplace, obviously, it has to be a team effort to resolve.
Okay, so while corporate safety and training is responsible for the development, implementation, and oversight of the comprehensive safety management system and training program, and that we do this in order to promote and to support our safety and operating excellence, it's really this collaborative effort, and the communication of safety as a core agency value starts at the top. And there are a number of different venues, very structured venues that occur over the course of time where we really talk about the safety performance and what we're doing to move us forward as an organization. We have weekly accident reviews during the President's performance meetings. We have monthly President's Safety Performance Report that's distributed throughout the organization so that at any given time the organization has the pulse of our safety performance. We have monthly operating, well, I should say within each of the operating departments, the chiefs have their own safety meetings with their direct reports, and they also have meetings that involve the labor organizations as well. And finally, we have quarterly safety meetings with senior staff to review the performance, the trends, and the initiatives that we're working on. So while corporate safety and training issues the policies that define the corporate and department safety requirements, and we provide that training and technical support to the departments, it's really a collaborative effort, and I know this theme continues to come up, but it's without the efforts of every single employee in the organization, we could not continue to have the record that we have when it comes to safety performance. When we look at the structure of the organization, okay, as Helena said, we report directly to Helena's office. And we're organized as functional divisions that handle various elements of our safety system safety program plan. So we have rail accident investigations for major incidents. We have field safety audits and inspections and fire safety. We also have an occupational health and environmental protection safety division. We have our hazard analysis and our safety statistical information group. And we have our operations, safety, security management, and technology-based training group. And I want to emphasize that there's a dedicated professional group of men and women, roughly 70 in number, 20 on the, a little over 20 on the safety side, and a little over 50 on the training side of the house, that really focus their efforts on ensuring that the employees get what they need to be successful and get satisfaction in the job. So they have varied levels of credentials. We have safety, certified safety professionals. We have professional engineers. We have lead certified staff. We also have staff that are qualified in the different operating crafts. So we have qualified locomotive engineers, qualified conductors. Our experience base runs the gamut, and it's the sharing of this expertise and experience that truly brings value to the organization. As far as the workings of the department, we have safety officers that are dedicated to each of the operating departments, and our safety officers conduct inspections and workplace audits. They attend the department's chiefs meetings and the management and labor partnership meetings. They also conduct shop and yard walks with the with management and labor teams. Our fire marshals conduct code compliance inspections of our stations, yards, and employees' facilities, and they work with our emergency responder training section in that community to ensure that they're able to respond effectively to events that occur on our property. It's critical to point out that even the environment that we work in, that our customers experience, all send messages about how we value safety as an organization, and our fire marshal group, as well as our environmental and occupational health and safety team, They really ensure that where we work is safe, and they send the message that we want to be good neighbors to the communities that we serve and that we care about employee and customer safety. We also have a longstanding partnership with the MTA Police, and our right-of-way task force, in partnership with the MTA Police and Engineering, ensures also that we're keeping an eye on our system and that we're safeguarding our system. So what are some of the key elements of this initiative? As Lena mentioned, our corporate policies, our rules, our procedures, they establish the roles and responsibilities for our employees in our departments. We ensure that all of our policies, procedures, rules meet the base regulatory standards and industry best practices. We work closely to ensure that we're compliant with Federal Railroad Administration, OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, PESH, APTA, AAR, AREMA, NFPA. We ensure that all of those regulatory requirements and industry best practices and standards are included in our policies and procedures. We also emphasize for our employees that the policies and the procedures, the things that are in place, are there because bad things have happened or almost happened, and we want to ensure that we're providing them with the guidance that they need in order to be effective and safe in their jobs. We encourage them to share their concerns, and if there's a policy or procedure that doesn't make sense, that we talk to each other, because these things, while they may be common sense and common courtesy, are not always common practice. And we want to ensure that the policies and procedures are relevant, that they're timely, and they truly reflect the day-to-day jobs that our employees are doing. We're also very conscious of the specific and unique needs of each of the departments at the Long Island Railroad. And to help guide that return on investment, each of the departments have a safety goal implementation plan that they complete on an annual basis that's reviewed for whether it's achieving the goals and achieving the outcomes that the departments want to achieve. So the safety goal implementation plans are customized templates that the departments use, and they address fundamentals of any safety program: communication, audits and inspections, accident investigations and prevention, training, rules, monitoring performance. One of the critical parts of the safety goal implementation plan is the opportunity for the departments to engage with each other and share best practices. So we do peer reviews on a regular basis also. So the transportation department will partner with engineering, the maintenance of equipment department will partner with Department of Program Management, and they talk about each other's programs, and they talk about what they're doing, what's working, what might be adapted to another department to aid them in their success. So the safety goal implementation plan is another critical tool in our safety initiative. We also realize that it's important to engage with our employees in the field. Our efficiency testing program, which is required, our SAFER program is required under the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 217. Our SAFER program, our efficiency testing system, not only focuses on rules compliance, which is the federal mandate, but we've expanded that also to include safety rules. And the focus of our efficiency testing program, of our SAFER system, is to engage with employees, to talk to them in the field about what we've observed. If there's a need for correction, that's done on the spot. If there's a need for reinforcement, to say, hey, listen, we see what you're doing and we appreciate it. You're complying with the rules and you're complying with the best practices. So it's part of having that one-on-one conversation with the employee. But with the help of our IT partners in developing the efficiency testing system, this system also allows us to identify trends and to really target our interventions. One of the programs that we're proud of that we look to expand to the other departments is something that the Transportation Department developed. It's our Management Intervention Program. What the Management Intervention Program does is it helps us to target our efforts. So if there's employees that we notice are evidencing behaviors that may put them at risk for having an incident, our Management Intervention Program allows us to get to them early. It's kind of our early intervention program, if you will. And to try to, again, engage with the employee before something bigger happens. And we provide them with that support. And that's something that we're looking to expand because of its success to the other departments.
I always pause here because I'm very proud of the way this program has evolved. and transportation, and Lori have spent a lot of time on it. We do keep a very good database on our engineers. We look for any habits or conduct that might indicate that individual does need more interaction with safer personnel. And you may say, well, what is an example of that? You know, for example, if somebody is reporting to work and doesn't have the correct crew materials, if there's an indication of a station run by, if there's lateness, those can all be indications that the person is losing situational awareness. And our goal at the railroad is to ensure at all times that our employees are very focused on situational awareness requirements. And if we have any indication that an employee needs reinforcement in that area, we direct those resources and reinforce. We have a very good, dedicated staff of locomotive engineers, and we want to ensure that if they need any discussion, we're always available for it. And that's really been the heart of the SAFER program.
Okay, as we alluded to earlier, our labor management partners are key as well, and Mike Gelomino described the fact that each of the operating departments do have dedicated professionals within the departments devoted to safety that we partner with on a regular basis. We also partner very closely with our labor organizations. Again, the collaboration amongst all of us is critical for the success and the safety of our employees and customers. The mechanical department has a mechanical safety partnership meeting that they hold once a month. The engineering department has peer safety meeting. The transportation department has their monthly safety meetings. These meetings are truly a forum for labor and management to come together, and it's a cross-functional and cross-disciplinary effort. So at those meetings, we're able to talk about things that may need to be elevated to this level in order to get resolution. But we do try to intervene at a lower level and try to be proactive. We have regular shop and yard tours, again, a partnership where labor management and the cross-disciplinary team will walk and identify areas that may need attention in the yards, and we try to get that resolved early. The other thing that we want to stress also is that each of the operating departments have their own department newsletters, their safety agendas. Again, if you haven't gotten the message already, communication, that the effective working relationships that we have rely on us being able to have that dialogue amongst the parties to truly come to resolution. The other avenue that we have for our employees, which is important that we want to emphasize, is we do have a safety one-call number. So if an employee is out in the field and they notice something, whether it's a situation at a station, a general safety concern, if something to do with signal, with equipment, that they call the one number and they can get connected directly to someone that can help resolve that concern. One of the things that we were fortunate to be able to do under a grant from the Federal Railroad Administration was to conduct our first ever safety climate survey. And this truly was a way of engaging our employees to get a sense of what their experience has been in our operating environment. So the survey instrument was an industry standard instrument. It was administered by the Texas Transportation Institute under the auspices of the University of Texas A&M. And we received the report in March of 2013. You'll see that we had an excellent response to our first ever safety climate survey. Employees had the opportunity to either complete the form and mail it in or to complete the survey online. So 1,000 of the roughly 6,400 employees participated in this survey, and you get a snapshot of the results. Overall, employees tended to feel that our safety climate was a good one at the Long Island Railroad. They felt that positive coworker safety practices were in evidence. 71% felt that was they could see that out there in their day-to-day. Over 70% felt that there was a management commitment to safety, and 68% felt that there was positive work group interactions when it came to supporting safety. You'll see some of the areas, though, that we were able to identify that needed a little more support included things that we're kind of struggling with based on the current regulatory climate, that 38% of the employees only felt that there was recognition for those who perform safely, and that's something that is an area that we're working on.
I'm going to pause there because, this would seem to, this committee, for example, well, that's an easy thing to solve. Of course, we should recognize safety. But as Lori said, the regulatory climate is tending away from recognition of individuals, and that's under OSHA. While we are allowed to focus on and recognize the process, the regulatory actions have been going away from the individual, and I think that's been a bit of a learning curve for us as well as for our own employees. So we are very focused now on trying to get a more of a group recognition for a very safe work environment and practice and a process that leads us to a good result.
The other tools or strategies that we use to engage with our employees, our lost time accident boards are posted prominently in different workplace locations, and they really help to keep our employees up to date on safety performance. We've also found that the root cause of some of the incidents and accidents relates to focus, and our Focus Safety campaign really targets certain key areas and encourages our employees to avoid distractions. So these posters focus on strategies for combating fatigue, outside influences, communication, uncertainty, and enhancing situational awareness. So the Focus campaign is something that we use to reinforce that with our employees. When things do happen, we have a very robust rail incident and accident investigation approach. All supervisors receive accident investigation training through our mandated system safety management class. Major rail incidents are investigated jointly by the operating departments, with corporate safety and training acting as the committee chair. We have just recently instituted a new group, our quarterly rail incident review committee, and they're really focused on going beyond the one incident and really looking at the broader picture and what are we seeing across incidents, what are some of the trends, what are some of the corrective actions and intervention strategies, and have they been successful. This quarterly rail review incident team is again cross-disciplinary. It has representatives from our engineering, maintenance of equipment, and transportation departments in collaboration with corporate safety and training. We also, as a department, review accidents, review information for trends, we analyze work processes, and we develop those mitigation strategies. As far as customer accidents, we have the safety officer that is assigned to collecting the data, and each of the safety officers investigate incidents as they occur. Our customer accident review committee does meet quarterly, and that committee consists again of representatives from the operating departments as well as from claims and corporate safety and training. Our accident reporting system, the forms as illustrated here, really give us the ability to deconstruct accidents with the goal of prevention. We also use a tool that we adapted from our partners at Metro North, our Red Alert safety bulletins, and those are issued in the aftermath of an incident. The Red Alert bulletins immediately provide critical facts and information about safety violations and accidents, and they're really designed to globally make employees aware of an incident that may have occurred and to highlight strategies for them to prevent the incident from reoccurring. So this is some examples of our Red Alert bulletins there. So where have we come from? If you look at our record of FRA reportable employee accidents per year, starting back from 1988 to the present, we've made significant strides in reducing FRA reportable accidents from a high of over 1,000 in 1990 to where we are today at roughly 198. A lot of that is due in part to the changes in the regulatory environment, as well as the initiatives and the things that we've deployed and embarked on at the Long Island Railroad. And our challenge really today, as you'll notice, we've kind of reached a plateau. We've had this steep decrease, and we're kind of leveling out. So our challenge today is really to find a way to break that through that plateau and continue to drive the numbers down. Okay, a lot of our employee lost time injuries, for the most part, are due, the major drivers are slip, trips, and falls and material handling, a lot of soft tissue injuries. We're all aware that the railroad environment is a very physically demanding environment to work in. So our challenge here is to work with our employees, because our employees are a microcosm of society, to really help them to maintain their ability to do the jobs and to meet the demands of that physically demanding environment. So slips, trips, and falls and material handling are a key focus for us in the coming year.
And again, one of the key factors that we're trying to emphasize is situational awareness. You know, one example we use, and one that Lori and I have talked about, is, you know, the slip, trip, and fall that can take place when, you know, somebody is stepping on ballast. But of course, ballast is part of our work environment. It is something that our employees should never lose situational awareness as to where they're placing their foot. But making sure people don't become too rote in the way they're walking on our infrastructure because they say, well, we do this every day, is part of reducing those employee slip, trip, and falls.
Yes, and really encouraging our employees to remain vigilant no matter what the circumstance. Our customer injury rate, as depicted here, we did an analysis in 2011. And this continues to hold true, that slip, trips, and falls are the biggest driver of our customer injuries. And our customer awareness campaign that we launched in 2012 and continued in 2013 has to do with the way our customers are using our system. The campaign is entitled "Don't Be a Statistic," and when you travel through Penn Station or some of the major terminals, you'll see the videos that our department developed, and we kind of term them our safety commercials. These videos really focus on the main causes of slip, trips, falls. So people rushing, carrying too much luggage. It's our way of helping customers to maybe take a step back and think about what they're doing and the choices that they're making so that they can use our system and be safe. As far as mainline collisions and derailments, I think it's important to note that these collisions and derailments also include track car collisions and derailments. They include LIRR, Amtrak incidents as well. So when you see these numbers here, that's reflective of not only our passenger equipment trains, but also those types of incidents as well. Okay, our fire incidents, as you can see, have gone down significantly over the years. I'd say, and Helena, correct me if I'm wrong, in 2010 we cut some funding for some vegetation management, and you'll see that we had a spike in fires that year, but have since restored that.
We were in a budget crisis, as many of you recall, in 2010. One of the areas that we reduced our funding in was vegetation management. We could see right away the impact of that, and needless to say, we restored the funding. Vegetation management is an extremely important element for us to make sure that the wayside is clear of brush, and particularly dry materials that can spark in the summertime. And we've worked hard really to reduce the number of brush fires.
And finally, from a statistical purpose, our 5-year grade crossing reportable incidents, it's important to note that we have over 295 crossings within our system. And as a result of some very tragic high-profile incidents, last year we launched a new safety awareness campaign, and you've probably seen the commercials on TV as well as the print advertisements. Isn't your life worth the wait? Wait for the gate. Okay, to encourage people that are encountering our grade crossings to truly take a step back and use that moment to stay where they need to be behind the gates. Okay, finally, the last critical element that I want to touch on is our training division. We have very extensive classroom, field, and on-the-job training as well as technology-based training. As far as our classroom and field and on-the-job, our focus is on operations, safety, security, and management training. Again, under that Federal Railroad Administration grant that funded our safety climate survey, we also were fortunate to have the opportunity to develop and implement the first rail resource management-focused training program. Over 800 managers attended a training program that focused on human factor and reducing human factor accidents and incidents by heightening awareness of technical proficiency, situational awareness, communication, teamwork, and assertiveness. We've institutionalized our capacity to continue with that program even though the FRA funding has ended, and we have also started cascading it down through our craft training. So every employee now is receiving some element of rail resource management training to emphasize the importance of working together to achieve a positive outcome and keeping us safe. We also have a system safety management class that I alluded to earlier, and as I wanted to bring up, if I haven't already, we've taken a very proactive stance with our operating departments to enhance our third rail safety program. So we now have mock-ups and we have dedicated training to ensure that our employees are cognizant of the hazard and how to protect themselves against the hazard. One of the things that we're proud of at the Long Island Railroad is we've institutionalized our capacity to develop and deploy our own technology-based training, our own computer-based training. This is training that is developed by Long Island Railroad employees for Long Island Railroad employees, and we have an extensive library of computer-based training elements that are delivered 24/7 on or off the property. So they're real-time, they're relevant, and an employee needs to refresh themselves on a particular aspect of their classroom training or something that they're encountering in the field. They can go online and access that as they need it.
I'm going to pause here because I wanted to emphasize that all of our training programs are coupled with extensive testing. So employees have to make the grade, literally, in terms of satisfactorily passing our tests. And we have found that distance-based learning has become very important to our employees' success.
Yes. And we've also been able to add a number of resources on the technology-based training website. So there's manuals, there's virtual bulletin boards, there's transportation notices. It truly has become, and we know in this day and age that everybody's getting their information on their phones and iPads and computers. It's truly given us another way of engaging our employees and meeting their needs. Okay, so next steps. As far as initiatives and the direction that we're going in moving forward for employees and customers, for our employees, we're going to continue our safety stand-downs. We found those to be very effective, and we're committing to doing those quarterly for our employees. Again, another way of taking a step back and taking time out of the day, corporate-wide, in order to talk about what's important to our employees for their safety. We're going to partner those with 2 safety, health, and wellness events, again, to promote the employees making positive choices in order to support their physical fitness and their wellness and ability to do the job. On the customer side, we're going to continue our safety campaigns, our Watch the Gap, Don't Be a Statistic, continue our community outreach. We have a very successful partnership with the MTA Police Department to deliver our tracks and our Operation Lifesaver programs, and that's something, again, that we're very proud of, that gives us direct contact with the community and also within the schools to engage young people early on the hazards and the importance of navigating safely around our system. We also continue our safety station inspections, our customer accident investigations, and another tool recently deployed is our customer ambassadors. We all know that as customers navigate through our system, in some cases they're not as familiar with our system, in other cases they may be rushing to get where they need to go, that our customer ambassadors truly become a tool for communicating and for ensuring that our customers have the information that they need to feel comfortable navigating through the system. And the more comfortable they are and the better decisions they're making, the safer they are within our system. So I will now take any questions.
Well, I'm just going to, just in the interest of time, under next steps, I also want to highlight on page 100 of our committee book, we have listed the Enhanced Safety Action Update. As you recall, our chair, Mitch Bally, last month asked that when we did a verbal briefing of these enhanced safety actions, that we actually include them in the book. So we put this chart forward, and it is very specific next steps in terms of enhanced safety actions that we're going forward on as well. This will give you the update, and every month we will show you what we've been doing as we close these items out. And some of them will be ongoing. Safety stand down, for example, is something that we'll continue to share results with you on. We'll be moving forward on close call reporting, and we'll share with you those results as well. This chart will, work as a way for us to continually update this committee. Any questions?
Chuck?
Ms. Williams, in the couple of years that I've been on this board, I have noticed that you have spent a great deal of time focusing on safety, and that this is nothing new for you. My only question for you is the purpose of this exercise to show us that you are bringing it to the forefront and you're going to persist in doing the things that you've done? Among the papers you've submitted are ones going back to 2011 and the like. Is the purpose to underscore that you're going to continue to do it with added emphasis?
That's absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Benny?
Yes. First, congratulations, Lori, and thank you for that presentation. I want to just say from a labor point, regardless of the relationship or the climate between labor and management, there's one thing that we can always agree on, and that's a safe operation. So, labor has always been and will continue to be committed to a safe operations for the good of our employees and certainly for the good of the customers. I just want to make a little feedback point on that one statistic that everybody seems to be concerned with, and that's the recognition number in that survey, the 38%. And you had mentioned the safer program. Maybe what we need to do is get the employees to a place where when they see a manager in the field, it's not, oh no, what did I do now? It's maybe someone's coming to see me to tell me that I did something good. So maybe a good look at that safer program and make a little bit of a disconnect between management interaction in the field and praise for a job well done rather than them being on the defensive, which it kind of is now. Understandably, everybody's time is pulled, but our employees do a good job more often than they do a poor job. So maybe that's something that we can look at. And also there's mention of like the policies and the bulletins, and I understand that we're going a little bit more with tech. I just want to remind everybody that the employees that are engaged with the operations do not have access to the Long Island Railroad intranet. They log on to whatever is a public website. So oftentimes we've given feedback to the department that the policies and the bulletins that people expect everybody to follow are not in the minds and heads of the employees because of that access. There's a difference. There's a lot more available to them now, but everybody has to understand that the emails that move around on railroad property don't get to locomotive engineers, conductors, and people in the field. They're just not part of that circle. So maybe we got to do a little bit of a better job at getting things out there, and more importantly, just a little bit more positive reinforcement and a little bit more appreciation from management in the field.
Vinny, on both points, the points are well taken. I think communication is key. I think we got to do a better job of getting the message out.
Thank you, Vinny. And thank you, Lori, for a very expert and comprehensive report. We appreciate getting the updates as appropriate from you and the president. Any other questions on that item? If not, we'll move to the other information items, Helena.
We'll take questions in the interest of time. All the materials are set forth, and if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Any questions on any other information items? Chuck?
I don't know if this is information on financial plans, but ask a question.
Go right ahead.
If you look at page 41,
Under professional service contracts, there's an apparent increase of some considerable significance from 2014 over 2013. Can you tell me why?
Yes, I can answer that question. That's basically, as you'll see in some of the non-payroll categories, there's an increase between the 2 years, and that's virtually all of it is timing. So there's some contracts that we initially had estimated would proceed in 2013, but for a variety of reasons, some could be in IT department, a few are in some of the operating departments, and it's just a matter of timing. So we're just shifting the funds from the prior year to the 2014.
Second, if I may, if you look at page 46, it looks like your non-reimbursable overtime
has significantly increased in virtually every area. Is there a reason for that? 46.
This is the adopted, so we're now looking at the adopted budget, correct, on page 46. And these are hours and dollars. What we're seeing, you may recall, there were a few things in the November plan that we're building into the budget now that were consistent with an MTA had directed all the agencies to take a different look at overtime. There had been historically things like weather, for example, that had been under budgeted over the years. They asked us to take a relook at that and kind of build a little bit more of a budget that was based on historical trends. So that would be one area. You'll notice under vacancy, absentee coverage, many times we've spoken at the committee about the challenges we had over the prior years on filling some vacant positions. We had previously been building the budget with an assumption that we would get to almost full filling of all vacant positions, as difficult and challenging as that was. So we were encouraged and to build the budget this year with while still committed to filling vacant positions, at least acknowledging that there may be some more vacant positions that we'd have to fill in over time. So we tried to build a little bit of a more realistic budget in those categories.
Third, if I may.
Go right ahead, sir.
Familiar one. Standees. They get worse and worse and worse. Now, and I'm not blaming you for it. Believe me, I understand the problem you have. And my question is, how do the people on Long Island tolerate this? You've got, on the Long Beach branch, 34 people standing up. You've got 37 on Ronkonkoma. In the PM Peak across the line, you've got east of Jamaica, 138. My question is there anything that you have been able to figure out that can help deal with this? And I know you and I have talked about this for a better part of 2 years.
I always appreciate your advocacy on the part of our customers, so I want to start with that. But I will say that because we are very much an interconnected system with lots of transfer movement at Jamaica, we would look at these numbers and say that they're relatively small in number. And they're spread over the entire train service, for example, on the Long Beach branch.
Ancient mariners like myself would not find that much comfort.
I recognize that. The answer, of course, is frequency of service. We try to build up the train consists as much as we can. And we know that our key area that we have to focus on as we go forward, especially in the next decade, is the Port Jeff Huntington branch.
Can I just do one last one? This goes back, I guess, to your safety presentation, page 68. Employee injuries. It looks like you've got a fairly meaningful increase in injuries there. Is there a reason why that happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's important to note in the prior year, our maintenance of equipment department had an outstanding year that actually resulted in them getting the first ever APTA Gold Rail Safety Award. So while I'm not going to suggest that the numbers are acceptable, because obviously we don't want any employee injuries, but that may seem to make it more than it actually traditionally has been. If you look at the prior years, 2013 is better than 2009, 2010, 2011. So we are doing relatively well. And again, we've kind of reached that plateau that I mentioned earlier, and our challenge is to find ways to continue to drive that number down. Oh, I'm sorry, you're looking at...
Page 68.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I was looking at 67 with the employees.
Look at page 68. I must be misreading it.
Okay,
it looks
68.
to me like it's been increasing, not decreasing.
Right. So to differentiate between total employee injuries versus our lost time and restricted duty injuries. So if you're referring to then the 198?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we found over time that more of our employees are losing time when they're injured, which then it triggers that increase in that number. If you look at the total number of injuries, as I said, they've remained relatively stable. But unfortunately, the injuries that our employees are sustaining, and for the most part, as I said, it's slip, trip, fall, and soft tissue injuries, because they're losing time, that number within the total number of injuries has increased.
By the same token, I do want to note, just because you're focused on that one, is, restricted duty injuries have gone down. Those employees that might otherwise have gone on restricted duty now fall into the lost time category. We have no new entrants in our restricted duty program right now. We are working hard to, try to determine what the long-term capability is of employees on restricted duty.
And have you changed the standards?
We have no new entrants.
I didn't
So
ask
they-
that. I asked you a question as to whether you changed the standards.
One of the issues for us is ensuring that employees can be placed in a job that they can actually successfully undertake. And oftentimes that's a difficult resolution, as there's a FELA case that's ongoing as well. So we made a determination that was better for us as a company to allow those things to play out with the employee being on lost time as opposed to restricted duty. So to answer your question, yes, the standards did change.
Your exceptional legal studies have shown through. The answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
You just got to get to the yes.
My
Yes.
question
With some
is,
caveats on the yes.
My question is, those standard changes, have they been bargained with the union?
They are bargained, in fact, and we are using the standard that's in the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, good. May I?
Perhaps
may I
one of
bother you
those
for
areas that
One
we-
more question.
Go right ahead.
I see that in 2013, escalator problems, while you've done a terrific job apparently in being able to curb it going forward, and I congratulate you for it after all the travails you've been through.
Except for the escalator at track 16, both Saturday and today in Penn Station, still doesn't work. I know. I walked up it twice.
The question is that Long Island Railroad or Amtrak?
And probably is Amtrak, but
But yeah, again,
to the person walking up, they don't care.
I was just going to say, from a customer point of view, they don't
They don't
actually
care.
care, and we work very closely with Amtrak to try to respond.
I
So
see
we'll
that
get
you've
to
done a
that.
job there, but if you look at page 69, you'll see that the numbers are higher than the year before. Any reason that you can discern?
Let me just take a look.
69.
69. I don't want to speak without a little research on it.
All right.
Let me take a look and we'll get back
Would
to
you?
you.
Thanks.
Okay.
May I?
Yes, Vinny, go ahead. Sorry.
Only because Commissioner Moyler brought it up. Just to kind of clarify, there wasn't a collective bargaining change. The interpretation of collective bargaining changed in regards to restricted duty. So, perhaps the original interpretation of collective bargaining that allowed for restricted duty can be reconsidered, where an employee wouldn't be out in a disabled or DA status, an injured status, for the extensive amount of time to increase those hours. If they had the ability of serving some kind of a role and being on the property, the past would show that would entice them to come back to work sooner because of the recuperation process, if that makes sense. So, listen, maybe just because it came up, we relook at it.
I'm always happy to look at that issue with you because there's been a number of times we've discussed it. So I think it's good if we take a look at what the current results are.
Chuck, did you have another question?
May I be permitted one final question? If you look at page 118, it's what triggered my question. Year over year, have the number of persons in managerial positions or titles increased over the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I can answer that question. So I'm looking at so as of the end of 2013, for example, there were 786 non-represented employees which is relatively consistent. I would say, as you know, during 2010, the management workforce dropped dramatically during the same financial crisis we're talking about. It's rebounded a little bit, still well below budget, but not yet at its heights.
Let me tell you what I'm getting at here. And you're not going to be able to answer this today, and I understand that. One of the problems that has been ongoing here is the absence of salary increases for the unrepresented personnel over a period of many, many years, just as there have been problems for those who are represented. And my concern is, have we been seeing as a way of dealing with that the promotion of people in order to get them the kind of salary that they really are, in the view of management, entitled to? I don't need your answer today, but I do think it is one that at some point I'd like to hear.
I will be happy to give you a little more analysis on that, but I do need to point out that one of the challenges for Long Island Railroad is that during the past 5 years we've had 225 retirements. So we're always on this, recruitment strategy and promotion strategy to fill positions that become vacant through retirements. But I certainly will come back with an analysis.
As I've said before, you have had more challenges out there than any person should have to face.
Okay, procurements. There are none for the Long Island Railroad. Capital Construction, page 82.
Good morning. Capital Construction has 2 procurement items for consideration this month, totaling $2.1 million. Both items are competitive and they begin on page 86. The first item is requesting approval to utilize the request for proposal method for the Grand Central Terminal Concourse and Facilities Fit Out for East Side Access. This is the one that Michael mentioned earlier in his report. The second item is requesting approval for a modification to the Harrow Structures Part 1 contract in the amount of $2.1 million for the reconfiguration of manholes and associated work. These items are submitted for your consideration and vote.
Any questions on any of the items? Chuck?
I was just curious as to why you refer to them as manholes rather than people holes.
No comment.
On that note, any other items on that? Motion to approve, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Galena, I think that's it, right?
That is it. I would also like to thank my senior staff, Neil Yellen, Lori, Mike Gelomino, for really assisting in putting this presentation together on our approach to safety, and we'll continue to update this committee.
And Chuck, if you look at page 129, an item that you and I have talked about at length, the new Mid-Suffolk Electric Yard, part of that is the standee issue. It's a part of the solution, because obviously the more yard you have, the more trains you can run, the less standees you have. We will hopefully get to that point. With that, motion to adjourn. Second. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. We tried to make up a little time.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yep, we're good.